Hello, I'm Rob Young and I'm the Head of Technical Training at Lambda. I run the 3-year BA Honours Programme in Production and Technical Arts Stage and Screen. This is a very broad-based training allowing you to be introduced to many different technical disciplines, undertake lots of practical work, a bit of theoretical study, and ultimately lead you into the industry. The entertainment industry, broadly speaking, so we train people for working in theatre, TV, film, radio, events, and anything that you can imagine that involves lighting, sound, production management, stage management, or scenic construction. So it's a very broad-based training course. We've had a few questions sent in that I'd like to respond to, and if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to add those into the comments, and I will endeavour to respond to those questions directly to you. One of the questions that came in was, I want to work in the creative industries in a backstage role, but I don't know what I want to do yet. Is this a useful course for me to take? Quite simply, yes, it is. We have lots of students who come to us each year wanting to work in production in some capacity, but may have only had experience of one or two disciplines at school or college. And so the course at Lambda is a great opportunity to explore all the other aspects of theatre production, technical production, and then ultimately, maybe specialise a little bit later on in the second or the third year. The first year, we start with some very basic training, so we go back to basics in all of our technical disciplines, because people come with different skills, different experience from wherever they've worked on productions in the past. Many will have done shows at school or college, or maybe with an amateur company. So that basic training introduces you to all the different technical aspects that we work with, and gives you the basic theory behind those different subject areas. Then very quickly we work on moving the students onto working on theatre productions. So from about halfway through the first term, you'll be assigned your first production role. Each production role lasts for about 6 weeks, and you do 4 of these different roles throughout the first year, allowing you to experience practically those different disciplines, so lighting, sound, stage management, scenic construction. They're the initial subjects that we train the students in the first year. We have 3 theatres at Lambda, and we put on about 22 public productions across the year. So there's a lot of work that happens, and it gives those students a very hands-on experience and an opportunity to continue developing their learning, but in a very, very practical setting. There's very little time spent behind a desk in a sort of lecture-based session or a class-based session. Most of the teaching that we do in those first 6 or 7 weeks of the first term is practical. There's no point in just talking about rigging lights. We need to take you into one of the theatre spaces and rig some lights. And it's the same with every other technical discipline that we do. And we find that this background and introduction gives the students a real opportunity to explore where they think they want to go, and to develop their skills. And then every time you work through a different show role, you again have more class within that show role to keep developing your skills. The course is particularly keen on experiential learning, so that is learning by doing. And we've found over the years that is certainly the best way that the students respond to the course and to the learning and their own personal development. Through each of the years, the first year you do a bit of everything. In the second year of the course, you again undertake 4 production roles, but this time you've got an opportunity to select the roles that you'd really like to have a go at. And these roles in the second year are at a slightly higher level. So maybe stage manager or chief electrician or production carpenter. So you have the opportunity of managing a team of first years. During these 4 roles, it's important that you explore and do some independent learning, as well as the practical stuff that you do in school. We find that those people who will spend a bit of time out of school reading up and researching the disciplines generally do a bit better. Also within the second year of study, there's a 6-week work-based learning module. This is an opportunity to go on a professional work placement within the industry in the UK. If you were from overseas, we would be very happy to look at opportunities for you to do a work placement back home. And this is a great opportunity to network, to develop your skills, but within a professional environment. And it's also a wonderful opportunity to network with the industry. Through the years, we found that many of the students who've had successful placements find themselves working with those placement providers once they've graduated. And networking is a major part of the course. We bring in lots of freelance practitioners to either come and do a sort of masterclass with the students, to see the shows that we do and introduce them to the students working on those productions. And so you'll find that you get networked with many industry professionals and companies throughout the 3 years of training. The networking really happens slightly more in the second and certainly the third year of study. The graduate employment rate is extremely high. I would say that for those students that stay working in production beyond graduation, the employment rate would be 100% within the first 2 or 3 months of graduating. Occasionally people will do the course and take those skills that they've learned into other parts of industry. All of the skills are transferable, and certainly transferable across all art forms in the entertainment industry and in the world of production. So in short, the response to that first question as to whether the course would be appropriate for someone who's not quite sure where they want to go, I would say absolutely. We also at no point through the first 2 years of the course ask anybody to specialise. So even though you select the roles that you want to do in the second year, you could work across 4 different departments to build that learning. And we find that students will often change their passion, they'll change what they're excited by as they go through the different show roles. And that's welcome. I don't expect anybody coming to us at the age of 18 or maybe 19 or 20 to have an absolute firm, clear idea of where they want to end up in production. So let your passion move, let your excitement go to different departments, and embrace every opportunity that you would get on the course at Lambda. Another question that was asked, obviously Lambda is a higher education institution, and the qualification at the end of the course is a BA Honours in Production and Technical Arts, Stage and Screen. People want to know what sort of qualifications they need prior to coming to Lambda. Well, the simple answer is you don't need to have any prior academic qualifications. If you're from the UK, we look at your experience, your passion, your interest and your excitement about working in the industry. If you're from overseas, there are some specific requirements about your knowledge and use of the English language. And you can find out a little bit more information about the level of English language qualification that we need on our website on the course details and application pages. So what you need really is enthusiasm, passion, determination, and a willingness to work hard and throw yourself into absolutely everything that we do through the 3 years of training. So it's relatively simple. The application process is pretty straightforward. You can apply to us directly through our website, and shortly you'll also be able to apply, I believe, through UCAS. Once you've applied, we will interview everybody who makes an application. That is a guarantee. So you don't need to worry about not being shortlisted for an interview. We endeavour to do all of the interviews in person at Lambda, which gives you an opportunity to see the facilities that we've got, to meet some of the current students. They're always very keen to meet applicants who may turn up on the course the following year. And it gives us a chance also to talk to you face to face, and I think that's very important. And it gives us a chance to get to know you a little bit more, and also you a chance to see the interview panel, which is usually 3 members of my team, and to ask any questions that you have about the course. If you are from overseas, then we are very happy to undertake interviews on either Teams or Zoom. and again, you get the opportunity to ask us any questions that you've got, and we will answer those. As part of the interview process, we ask that you submit a portfolio or bring a portfolio with you when you come to an interview. And this can be in any sort of format. Really, it's used as an icebreaker. So at the start of the interview, which generally lasts about 30 minutes, we ask you to present your portfolio and talk about what you've done in the past. So it allows you to start off what can sometimes be a fairly nerve-wracking experience in an interview. It allows you to start off talking about something that you're very familiar with and that you're passionate about. Portfolios take a number of different forms. Some people might have done some prop making in school or college, and they come with the props that they've made, which is always exciting. Other people might have done a sort of PowerPoint presentation involving some text and certain photographs or videos of work that they've done at school or college. Some people it can be as simple as half a dozen photographs of productions that you've worked on. The content of the portfolio isn't part of the assessment, if you like, of the interview. It has no bearing on whether you get a place or not. It's really just to allow us to understand a little bit more about what you've done, where you've come from, and ultimately where you think you're going, what you aspire to do. Remembering that we will introduce you to a load of other stuff while you're training with us, and your passion may change. And don't be scared of that, don't be nervous about that. You certainly don't want at any point to kind of put blinkers on during the training and focus on one particular area. You need to embrace absolutely everything, work hard at everything, and your skills will drop into place. And as you go through the second year and into the third year, and through the third year, it should become clearer to you where you think your ultimate destination is. The joy of a course that covers absolutely everything in production technical arts is that you will leave us multi-skilled. So even in the third year, when you narrow your choices down a little bit more, you do 3 production roles in the third year. You don't necessarily ultimately only have to do that when you leave. You will be able to do work with both lighting and sound and construction, and certainly stage management and production management. The course is called Production Technical Arts Stage and Screen because we don't just focus on theatre. Somebody sent in a question just saying that they were interested in film and TV and wanted to know a little bit about what the screen and audio elements were. In the first year, you'll have an introduction into the film work that Lambda does. We produce 3 or 4 films every year with our graduating actors. And we also produce some radio plays. And you can opt to work on those productions within the screen and audio department. Again, it's a 6-week period of work, 6-week production rotation. And currently you get to work as a production manager or production assistant, so supporting the film shoots, planning, scheduling the film shoots, overseeing the budget, and then being on the ground, on location, and in our screen and audio studio when the film's being made. This allows you to have a great insight into the career opportunities beyond graduation in film and television in particular, and also radio. We have many of our films are on YouTube, so you can look back on the Lambda YouTube channel and see some of the finished product that we've produced, and I hope you would agree that they're of an extremely high quality, and we're very proud of the work that we produce. Alongside the films, and the scripts of the films are commissioned by Lambda, we often do new writing in the theatre spaces. So if new writing is something that interests you, generally once or twice a year the productions will be a new piece of work. And of course that's always very exciting, because working on those productions you would always be able to say that you were the very first stage manager of whatever the show is, or you were the very first lighting designer of whatever the play is. The other theatre productions we put on cover a wide range of different styles of work. Contemporary, we do some Shakespeare productions most years. We often do a large-scale musical, and also smaller chamber musicals. But primarily the work that we do is drama. And as I said, in response to a previous question, we do about 22 public productions in a year. There are the opportunities of some scholarships and some bursaries on the Production Technical Arts course. And we would ask that if you are in need of one of those from the outset, that you log that with the admissions team when you make your application. Some scholarships are allocated in advance. Others are done once the students have started and we have a clear idea of your pass. Most people who have a scholarship or a bursary would have had to submit their household income and various other financial information. But do raise that with the admissions department when you make the application, and your name will go onto the list and you will certainly be considered by the scholarships committee. Also, through the academic years, we have a hardship fund, so there's also some financial support for students who may find themselves struggling financially during the term times. And again, that would be looked at and assessed by the scholarships committee. Excuse me. There we had a question from somebody from overseas asking whether they could undertake the course remotely or whether it had to be in person. I'm afraid it does have to be in person. Because the work is all practical, it's vocational training, we need you in the theatres, in the recording media studio, actually physically doing the work. So there is no opportunity to do remote learning. But it wouldn't be very fun doing the remote learning. So you're much better off being on site and working within our 3 theatres and our senior workshop. We're looking to take about 24 students each year. That's a good number for us. When we do the initial training, so the first 6 or 7 weeks of the first year, we generally do the classes in groups of 6 or 7. So we like to work in quarter groups. That's unlike any other sort of university course where you might be in a lecture hall with 100 other people or sometimes 200 other people. We find that working in groups of 6 or 7 allows you very good access to the tutor and certainly very good access to the equipment and the facilities that we have here. So the bulk of those training sessions are given in groups of 6. Occasionally there might be a whole year group lecture class, but certainly the practical work is done in those small groups. The skills that you would learn on the course, as I said in response to an earlier question, cover all of the technical disciplines within theatre production and entertainment production. So in stage management, you would learn how to make some props, source props. You would learn how to make up a prompt script. That's this copy of the script that the deputy stage manager has. You learn how to notate the movement of the company on stage. That's called blocking. And ultimately, you will put all the lighting and sound cues and stage cues in this copy of the script, and you will learn how to cue a production. So in professional theatre, nothing happens on the stage without the deputy stage manager saying go. So we train you how to do that. We also train you how to be the stage manager and to coordinate the whole production, and then to manage the process once we hit the theatre space, and to run the stage floor during performances. In lighting, you learn basic electrical maintenance, you learn how to rig lights, focus them, that's pointing them at the appropriate place, how to program the lighting desks, and in the second and third years you can run the lighting department, and then you'll be doing all sorts of paperwork like lantern schedules and planning the work of the lighting team, and you'll be responsible for ensuring that everything that the lighting designer wants to happen happens. Lighting design is obviously also a role that you can undertake at Lambda in your second or your third year, and the lighting designer is part of the creative team, and they will design the lighting in liaison with the scenic designer and certainly the director. They'll decide how the show is going to be lit. They will draw a lighting plan. We use a computer program called Vectorworks to do that, and then they will run the focus session getting the team to point the lights where they want them pointed, and then build the lighting states with the lighting programmer. In sound, again, you do sound maintenance and basic sound theory. Then you can work as a sound assistant, working in effect as a sound number 2 or number 3 in professional theatre, supporting the production. The production sound engineer is a second or third year role. They are the people that, like the chief electrician running the lighting department, they will run the sound department and liaise with what the show needs, with what the sound designer needs. So the sound designer, much like the lighting designer, will create the soundscape, will create the sound effects, maybe compose for the production, and then the production sound engineer makes it all happen and coordinates it all. We also build scenery, so you can work in our scenic construction workshop. That's the only facility that we have that isn't based at Targarth Road in Barons Court. So we have a large scenic workshop in Bermondsey in South East London. As the construction crew in the first year, you build the scenery. A second or third year role is the production carpenter, and again they run the scenic workshop. So they decide how things are being built. They will do ordering of materials. They will work with CAD, another CAD program called AutoCAD, which our designers use to show us exactly what the set pieces are supposed to look like. So it's another management role in the second or third year as a production carpenter. Overseeing all of the production is the production manager. Lots of production roles that you get the chance to try. Production manager is a massive coordination role, overseeing whatever is happening in a theatre space at the same time. So we often do 2 or 3 shows in each of the theatres at the same time, which means we change the scenery once or twice a day. The production manager will coordinate the schedule, will do lots of ordering of equipment and scenic items that are needed. They will also manage the budgets. So that's a very responsible position, and it's a very exciting position because you're at the heart of production across a number of different shows at one point. And as I said earlier, the screen and audio roles currently are working in the sort of production management side of the screen and audio. And again, it's about coordination and communication. Key areas that we work with the students in all aspects of the training are communication, initiative, time management, teamwork, and the ability to take criticism, which is all part of the process. The ratio between practical work and theory, I would say, I've never thought about it as a strict ratio, but I would say it's 95% practical and 5% theory. The bulk of that initial theory happening in the first 6 weeks of the course. And beyond that, it's making theatre, making films. It's all about that experiential learning opportunity. Another question that had been asked was, what are the employment prospects like? Phenomenal. There is a huge demand in the corporate world, in events, in theatre and in film and television for well-trained practitioners. And certainly during the Lambda course you will be well-trained. We have a phenomenal reputation within the industry. Lambda works a bit like a kite marker quality. And so we have lots of people who approach us asking for information about our soon-to-graduate students or our recent graduates, because they know not only will they have the technical skills and ability to do the roles that are needed, but they're also grounded. Our students understand their place in the world as young professionals. They're hardworking and proactive and positive. So the employment prospects are really high, which is a good thing. We also have lots and lots of Lambda graduates out working in the industry, and there's a great alumni networking opportunity. And Lambda graduates tend to want to employ Lambda graduates. So when we look at work placement opportunities, which is available in the second year and the third year, students go on placements anywhere within this country, in an area of their choice, in an area that's interesting to them and that's relevant to the training. Over the past few years, we've had students who've gone I've worked at the National Theatre, we've worked at the Bridge Theatre in London, the Young Vic, the Old Vic, the Royal Court, Hampstead Theatre. We've got students who've worked on West End productions. We also have students who go and work with technical companies and want to develop their skills in a technical field. And each of those placements can be like a sort of mini apprenticeship. So aside from experiencing and developing your understanding of the particular subject matter in a professional environment, it is also that networking opportunity. And so it's very important that you show yourself off to the placement host and make yourself as employable as you possibly can be, so that all being well, they would want to employ you when they next have a vacant opportunity. And as I said earlier, many of our students go and work with those placement hosts. The facilities at Lambda, we've got 3 theatres. We've got a scenic workshop. We have another small scenic workshop on site and electrical workshop. Our main stage, the Sainsbury Theatre, has full height flying, so we can fly pieces of scenery that are 6 metres tall. We have a trap room, we can go through the stage. We work in lighting with the ETC series of desks, and in sound we have a number of different digital consoles. We work with Digico and with Yamaha, and primarily, and we work with QLab and we work with ProLogic. I think that's all we have time for. If you're interested in the course, we do have an open day on the 17th of February this year. You can look on the Lambda website as to how to apply for that. We also have a further open day on the 18th of February. So if you can't make the December one, please do come along and sign up to come to the 18th of February one, where you'll meet me, my team, many of the students, and also get to see our facilities. Thank you very much.